Hello, it's Chris from Garage Times. Today we're working on 2018 Chrysler Pacifica. It is the 3.6 liter. And we are going to do an oil change today. Pretty simple. I am going to just touch on a couple things for the future. I think in a week or two I'm going to do a video on this filter housing. And if you can see, this filter housing is stamped original equipment like Daimler, Chrysler, or Chrysler now, I don't know what it's called, Fiat, whatever, but that little star there's the original equipment manufacturer filter housing. It's completely plastic that goes down to the top of your engine between your heads, and it is all plastic. It's like your oil cooler and filter housing combo, all plastic. Bad design. They ended up leaking really bad. And I don't know if I can get a shot of all the oil down there, but it is it's probably distorted there. But as I kind of rock in the car there and I stop, and that black stuff down there is all oil. And well, what I'm going to do is, there's a better shot there, like on the lower bottom, like 7 o'clock position of the filter housing. There's all that oil down there just sitting there. What happens is all that oil ends up filling up on the top of that engine. And the way the engine is, there must be a slight cant to it, like this end's a little higher and then maybe this end's a little bit lower. But what will happen is you'll end up having a bunch of leaking oil down this side of the engine, and then underneath these Chryslers they put, it's like a carpeted plastic, it's carpeted material, and I think it's like carpet with, or plastic with carpet on it or whatever, but it ends up soaking up all that oil until eventually it just starts dripping all over the place, and by then you have a very significant oil leak. So in a couple weeks I'm gonna knock that out and I'll post a video on it. I'll do a tear down of everything that you got to take off to get to it. So for today though, yeah, oil change, 3.6 liter 2018 Chrysler Pacifica. And then tomorrow, so I'll post this video for the oil change tonight, and then for tomorrow I'll probably do a video posting for the brakes, because as you can see, they're getting kind of crusty, and then when you're braking there's some vibration. So, but you guys are probably here for the oil change, and I gotta imagine, if you're doing preventive maintenance on your vehicle and you've seen that oil down there, you're probably like researched it, or you're gonna now. So this Chrysler van is at like 126,046 miles, so not too bad. It's definitely middle of the road mileage for this vehicle. And I do oil changes on all my vehicles at 3,000 miles, and people are gonna hear that and they're gonna say that's crazy. Well, just depends on how your engine wears, and if your engine is wearing in a lot and you have combustion gases that blow by your rings, you have oil that will break down significantly faster, and the longer you go between oil changes, the greater your chance of mechanical failure. So for me, I do my own oil changes, and even when I had my shop open, I only charged this is like 3 years ago, I think I charged like $30 to $50 for oil changes. So it just depended on how many quarts and whatever, but I did it for the bare minimum. Wasn't making money on the oil changes. And I always recommend it for folks to do it sooner, especially with newer vehicles that have cam position sensors and actually variable valve timing solenoids with the little metal mesh screens that get clogged, and the next thing you know, it's going to mess up your timing, and it's just not good. So I'm doing my oil change here at actually 3,400 miles. I'm like 400 miles over, so let's get on with it. This is all that carpeted material that I was talking about. It's like some type of, carpet underlayment, or, well, for under your vehicle. But when you go to do that, like if you're trying to troubleshoot where that oil leak's coming from, you'll have to take all these like carpet rivets out all the way around the wheel wells. And then there's a couple of these here, over here, but it's not bad. But if you have a significant leak under here, it probably is related to that original equipment plastic engine oil filter cooler housing. Get yourself a 14 millimeter, or I'm sorry, 13 millimeter or 1/2 inch. That was on there. And then just work her out. Get that loose. Get the drain plug out. I am doing this with one hand, so forgive me. So that's what, 3,400 miles, and still pretty dark. For all the folks out there, like, hey, you can go forever, 10,000 miles on these oil changes. Just trying to get the light better here. 10,000 miles on these oil changes or longer, Yeah, I was gonna try to do shine the light through it for you, but I mean, like, it's definitely like black. Definitely black. You can't see through it. On the dipstick, it was transparent on the dipstick, but you definitely can't see through it. So, and really at the end of the day, it's totally up to, the own personal prerogative, like whatever you want to do for your maintenance schedule. And, you want to do your oil changes at 3,000 or 5,000, 7,500, 10,000. I've heard some people say that they'll do like 20,000 miles on some of the most premium of premium oils, but I don't know. Nothing that I have or I use will ever be able to do that. So I just always highly recommend the 3,000 mile oil change. And if anything, it helps you check your oil more often. Because a lot of folks that maybe go longer, 5,000, 7,500, or 10,000, they're like, they're checking on that oil less. And yeah, it's, I mean, I said it in one of my other videos, like, people just keep pushing their oil changes out, where like this one, 3,400, but a 5,000 mile could be 5,500, or, 6,000 or 7,500 mile oil change could be 8,000, or, it's just like, it's sometimes hard to hit it right on the die, And that's about good enough. Let's get that plug back in there. Good to go. Always like to kind of clean it up a little bit. And then let's get the wrench on there. Again, you can use 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter and just snug her up. Get her nice and snug. And you can also, after snugging it up with the wrench, get yourself your torque wrench out and snug her up a little bit more with the correct torque spec. Make sure she clicks and you're good to go. Now that everything's good to go under here, go up top and we'll take that filter out of that housing. And for the filter housing, you can use 24 millimeter or 15/16 standard. And I did loosen this before I turned this on just because I only got the one hand. Just keep turning her out. It's really kind of critical though, if you do get one of these plastic ones, the plastic bottomed housing, instead of the newer ones are metal. The housing's all metal, so way better design, especially for expansion and contraction. At the hottest point or part of your engine, which would be the top, up by the heads, would be definitely your, you know, hotter part of your engine. Plastic just doesn't do you justice. Will not last that long. I mean, there's quite a few of these that have that issue, so spin her out with your hand. Alright. And I'm gonna shove some stuff down here just to kind of help a little bit. There you go. Just so when I pull it up, you know, it's gonna probably drip everywhere. Yeah. The other one I had pulled on a 2011 Chevy Traverse. It was kind of sunk in, but this one's kind of maintained its shape pretty well. The other one was like all sucked in and it's like smashed in. This one looks pretty good for at least maintaining its shape. And all you do is, I did cheat, I already kind of pulled it apart, but get a hand on here and a hand on here and just pull them apart, will pop out of the snap. And you'll want to replace this O-ring as well. And then the new filter will come with a new O-ring here. And I use like these, you can use whatever you want. This is just what I use, S11 665 STP. It says it's like a 5,000 mile filter, but I changed mine, like I said, 3,000. And it's always good, you know, compare your parts. Always compare your parts, you know. Even though I know out of redundancy that it is correct, but for good practice with other stuff, like brake rotors, you know, you got to make sure they're identical, so. And then don't forget your, look inside your box, you gotta I destroyed that box, get that out. Black O-ring, brand new. And then what I do is I just use a pick for the removal of these. Get under it and helps you pull her off. And again, like doing everything here with one hand. I'm just gonna pause. Okay, that brown one's off and that new one is on. It's good to go. You can put a little oil on the new one before you put make it a little easier for installation. Usually on all O-rings I try to do that. And then take your new filter. It should just snap in. There you go. Get her snugged up with your hand. And then snug her out. What I do sometimes is when I'm tightening stuff up, instead of like, especially when it's getting close, grabbing out here, try to, on something like this, you can grab in the middle too. And it just prevents you from applying too much torque multiplication. think that also could be, you know, like an issue with, you know, over tightening and stuff. With these being all plastic. And this vehicle takes 0W20. Full synthetic, 5 quarts. Here we go. And now you can go ahead and add your 5 quarts of 0W20, fully synthetic. I mean, like, you can use what, I guess you can use whatever you want, but, you know, your risk is what, you know, some people might try to use conventional, and if the manufacturer says to use full synthetic or synthetic blend. I believe the designation for the oil is Dexos approved, so always look for that. Make sure your American Petroleum Institute designation's on there. And after you're done, then go ahead and start your engine, let that run for about a minute. And that's what we're gonna do right now. And when you're all done, double check with your dipstick where you're at. And you're always going to want to make sure that the oil level is in the hashes. And I don't know if you can tell there, but on the dipstick, there you go. They're like hash marks. So just make sure your oil level's in between there and you're good to go. You guys have a good one.